I'd like to say hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. On this Sunday morning, I had planned to talk to you about a subject that we need to talk about, and I called it death. But I was interrupted because the Spirit led and said that first you should have the message of life. And I did the message of life. It has been prepared, and by the time this is posted, it will already be posted. It is the message of life. But now I want to give you the message of death. When I came out initially, I wanted to talk to you about getting old and having to face every last one of us death, some form, some fashion. And the whole prompting to come here was to find the way that's loving. But as I was interjected with the message about life that was so brilliantly enabling, I also saw something else, and that was death, not relative to age, but ending death, life as we know it. Ending life as we know it. Well, we got the struggles, we're all aware of that. And the message of life indicated a way we could go. But assuming that we continue as we always have, finding reasons not to live, but advancing the time of death. This is what I saw. All of we Americans in this continental USA, citizens or not, but we're here because we want to be here. Nobody brought us here. Now, there was a time we were brought here against our will, and there might be some people being brought against their will today. But for the most part, we, the masses, are not aware of it. And I'm sure that if it's happening, there are agents or agencies within the system here that is dealing with that situation. At least that's our hope. But what I saw, ladies and gentlemen, was this. I saw hate. I saw racism. I saw bigotry. I saw poverty. I saw crime. I saw violence. I saw murder. I saw terror. And just like it takes everybody working together in the way of life that I described to you on that particular post, it takes everybody wanting their dreams to come true and recognizing the truth about it and then doing what is required to do. That is the coming together. That is the unity that will enable heaven to exist on earth. But I say that because I want you to understand that this crime and violence and terror and stuff that I just got through mentioning to you, it exists by the same power. It's a unity of the people of this nation to embrace a system that causes these kinds of things to exist. These things don't just pop out of the blue. These things are designed to live the life that I've described. It doesn't just happen out of the blue. If you never got contaminated, perhaps it would be no problem, but you are. So they don't just happen out of the blue. It is the plan. It is something that's already been put in play, principled, that you have to deal with in order to get that. And over here on this dark side of life, it's the same way. It says that it doesn't matter what you have geared yourself to, what direction you're on, what path you're on, and how you've legitimized and how it's okay in your own way of thinking. The truth of the matter is that all of the ugly, negative, the crime and the violence, the poverty, everything that exists, it exists by the power of you, the people. It doesn't matter if you say, well, I don't want to take a part in this. So you don't take a part in that. But there's something else that you're taking a part in. I don't want to take a part in this. That's okay. Stop taking a part in it. But you bet your last money you're taking a part in it over here in a different way. Why? Because you're blind. You're distorted. You're confused. The truth and alternative truths. The truth and a lie. You're confused. You don't know which is which. You got one guy say this, another says this. Who do you follow? You're being led by what? Something outside of truth, something outside of the Spirit. The Spirit is the power of the Almighty that enables you to make the proper decision. And the proper decision many times would mean standing against both. And when you can't stand against both, you're not following. You're not following that Spirit. And so what I'm saying to you today is that there are some natural things that's taking place that we have no control over. I think Ida, some hurricane is just whipping up places. South Carolina, I heard it got yesterday. Florida. And devastation is just happening everywhere. I'm hearing this. You are hearing it. It's being publicized. They're not making it a secret. But I'm thinking, all of us who in one way or another is responsible for the pain and the suffering of those amongst us. We are responsible in the fashion that I've just described. I know you found a way to get around it, but this is real. What if, I'm just asking you this, what if what you see when you turn your television to South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, and when you turn it over in Texas or Florida or Missouri or all of China, wherever, when you see these waters just pouring over these people and all of the stuff that they thought was so fantastic, their yachts, this luxury stuff that they had, their houses built on a little private island sitting out there in the water, this is because they had, based upon the system that they have established, allowed them to amass a certain amount of wealth that says, if you got to pay for stuff, you can do this. Now you did that, why? Because you amassed this, you told yourself you did it in a legal way, and you probably did or didn't. But you can bet whatever it was, it caused some pain and suffering over here where people are eating slop. And your system says it's okay. Well, that's not okay. So I'm seeing this water. When it comes over, it takes you, your little island. It takes your yachts. It takes all of your boats. It takes all of your fine stuff that you were able to amass as you were ripping other people off. But it didn't just stop with you. It kept on rolling and kept on rolling. Those who were benefiting not much as you, but were still benefiting nonetheless. And so on and so forth, even down to the rock bottom. Because everybody should know about God. And everybody has a responsibility to allow the spirit of life to live within them. And where did that come from? That comes from wanting to know. That comes from desiring to know. They say the pure in heart. See, God is everywhere. But the pure in heart is connected. You know, like you turn go in there, flip a switch, your light bulbs come on. Something happening. Connection. You know, and you go in there and plug this thing and push your button, your computer comes on. All of a sudden, something can tell you about everything. That's a connection with something that's invisible. Telephone, invisible. All of this stuff, ladies and gentlemen, is connected to the source. And if we want to know how to live, we got to be connected to the source. And if we're not connected to the source, we will eventually kill ourselves, destroy ourselves, or nature will help us. Make it easy for us. Just take us all out. So how many of you know that the pain and suffering of those places that are results of the hurricanes visiting them, or an earthquake, or an eruption from a volcano, or the wildfires? How many of you know the pain and suffering that comes from these disasters? Well, we know the ones who had to go through them. No. And I guarantee you, they will accept help from anywhere it'll come from. But we who were spared these kinds of things, do we recognize that what happened to them can very Easily happen to us. And if we can't have enough compassion within to try to come up with and connect with means and ways to if these nature's acts just come up on us, we got to be able to master them. Why? Because we are the spirit of the Almighty Creator. And we don't let no nature just run over us. Not when we represent the power that we can't see. We can tell the ocean to be still, and the ocean must be still. But you got to be on the right path. You got to be led by the right spirit. And when you're led by the right spirit, you don't question it. You step out and do the right thing. And wherever it goes is where it's supposed to go at that moment in time. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me go back. Before I close, I want us to go back to that original death. I was raised by old people. When I was born into this world, people, my great-grandparents, probably, if not my age now, they were very close to it. But they took me in as their own. And they cared for me because my mother was just a kid, you know. And all my life, I have been going, hearing stuff about God, hearing stuff about Jesus, hearing stuff about what's right, hearing stuff about what's wrong. And I can distinguish between the two. I've experienced them both. And so out of all the messages that I've heard, people talk about, do you believe in Jesus Christ as a means to discount the fact that the Bible is written by people and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You know? But I tell you what, I saw a movie called The Black Panther. Now, they didn't even say that was true. But what a message. What a message for black people. Superman, what a message for white people. Catwoman, what a message for women. I mean, you see what I'm saying? So let's think about that character. Let's say this character that nobody believes in, but there's a message. A message. And it's a greater message than Black Panther. It's the message that encompasses all of us. So I've always wanted that. So these people are gone now. My great-grands have passed along. I watched my mother die. She's lying right there. I don't think she suffered too long, maybe a couple of weeks in the hospital. But I think they kept her doped up enough to keep her from suffering pains. And then my stepfather, who had to go through some means that allowed him to continue to exist, but it was helpless. Got relatives and friends who have these, when they're on their deathbed, who the doctors tell them, I can't do nothing for you. My friends said, well, we're going to send you someplace where you can just hospice care until you pass out. We can't do anything for you. You know, that's, if a person wants that, then fine. But some people are going through constant pain as if they're being punished. They should have control over their lives. Somebody say when you go to the hospital, and they say, well, if you pass out or something, you have to need some resuscitation. Do you want it? They say, no, don't resuscitate me. Let me go. Well, that's a decent thing if you're not already signed for it. But we should be able to extend that to the point when the doctors say there's nothing I can do for you. Only thing I can do is medicate you. And this stuff is not going to heal you. We'll do whatever we can to keep down the pain, but we can't keep down all the pain because it comes some pain to let you know that you need the medication to stop the pain. So you got to go through this and you know it. Look like you should have the same decency as the one who put on the driver's license, do not resuscitate me. Now you got the choice to say, I don't want to continue to go through this. Let's do it. Let's end it. Whatever that you might be, whatever you've chosen. But if you can do it for my pet who says, I can't take it anymore, and I take it to the doctor says, the vet says, we can't do anything for her, and what do? You don't bring her back home, paining and suffering. You say, please, put her out, take her out. And just there in a moment, all of the pain and suffering is gone. It looked like we could care enough about human beings for them to be able to say, I don't want to go any further. And for the human race to say, well, brother, sister, whomever you might be, we're glad you were here. And we hate to see you go, but thy will be done. Golly. And put brothers out like that. Now, there are reasons, I'm not going to go into them now, why it's so hard. But what I'm actually talking about is euthanasia. Dr. Kevorkian introduced it to us. I'm sure he's not the first one, But that's what it was all about. Why should I sit here and be in cancers everywhere? Nothing they can do to heal me. Well, as long as I can get up and move around, I'm not in pain and suffering to anybody, I'm causing pain or suffering to anyone else, and I can endure with what I'm doing, then that's okay. That's my choice. But when you get to the point where the pain is like, and I can't do anything, people gotta clean me like a clean my boop off my butt, and I know I'm just waiting to die. You think I want to go through this? Do you want to go through this? Any man, a woman, do you want to go through this? You knowing you're dying. So hey, baby, have a little mercy. Have a little mercy, and do what is being requested of you to do. Send us home in style. That's all I'm saying. We can choose to do that. We don't have to let our brothers and sisters and our mother and our father just up there screaming and hollering just because we following some old stupid stuff. Well, that's what I wanted to say about death. I want to thank you so very much again. Please pay attention. Until next time, Eddie Marcus saying goodbye for now.